Brought to you by DK Audio.
DK Audio presents the ADHD Women's Wellbeing Toolkit, a practical guide to understanding and utilising your potential, written and read by Kate Moryoussef. Introduction. How are you feeling? Really feeling? Living most of your adult life with undiagnosed attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, otherwise known as ADHD, can feel like walking around in the wrong shoes while carrying a backpack full of rocks, wondering why you're finding things tough. It can be soul-destroying and it can burn you out. I believe there is a better way, a more hopeful way. In fact, that's exactly what this book is about. But first, we need to look at how we got here. ADHD in women. Until quite recently, ADHD was mostly overlooked in girls and women. Only a handful of women were diagnosed in childhood. Most were diagnosed, like me, later on in life. From the late 1980s, ADHD, or ADD, attention deficit disorder as it was then known, was seen as something that only affected young boys, with the leading trait being that they couldn't or wouldn't sit still at school. They were dismissed as disruptive, disinterested and naughty. Many of their stories are heartbreaking. What we've come to understand in recent years is that ADHD in females can look very different from ADHD in males. For girls and women, hyperactive traits are often internalised and frequently diagnosed as anxiety and/or depression because of traditional gender conditioning. Hormones also have a role to play in how and when ADHD expresses itself. While some females do display some of the rambunctious traits we often see in males, we now understand that ADHD can show up for them in a variety of other ways. This might include perfectionism, insomnia, forgetfulness, disorganization, daydreaming, overthinking, restlessness, overwhelm, emotional dysregulation, mood swings, and a quiet lack of concentration. The stereotype of what ADHD is meant to look like means that ADHD traits in women and girls have been misunderstood and under-researched for far too long. It's vital that the many nuanced symptoms and traits of ADHD expression in girls and women are recognised as such, so that health and education professionals can look out for these, ask more questions, and start to connect the dots in order to provide more support. Beginning a journey of understanding. As things stand, the study of ADHD in females still lacks significant scientific and medical evidence in comparison to its study in males, while medical professionals focus their research on how ADHD coexists with autism, dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia, and dyspraxia. A lot of what I know and share in this book comes from playing detective through my various roles as the host of the ADHD Women's Wellbeing podcast, an accredited emotional freedom technique (EFT) practitioner, and health and wellbeing coach. Through the podcast, I'm able to speak to hundreds of leading experts and thought leaders in the field of ADHD who share their knowledge with our listeners, a strong community of women who are self-diagnosed or formally diagnosed with ADHD. This knowledge helps us to begin to draw our own conclusions about ADHD and its impact. We are only at the beginning of this journey, but I hope this book will allow you to gain new insights, better understanding, more practical tools, and lots of self-compassion so that you can begin thriving and enjoying a better quality of life. Importantly, I hope that you can feel part of this growing community of brilliant women with ADHD. You deserve to experience kindness from others and, most importantly, from yourself. The importance of self-acceptance. When I work with clients who are living with ADHD, I can see their desperation to be fixed. But I want to tell you right here and now, as I was myself told, that you do not need fixing. The challenges we face are not our fault. They are rooted in our genes, in our biology, and are, importantly, neurological. You're not lazy, stupid, rude, strange, scatty, or selfish. You have ADHD with neurodivergent brain wiring, which can have a daily impact on your mental and physical health. Even if you don't feel it yet, you are completely brilliant. And this book is here to show you how to lean into your cognitive capabilities, finally let go of all the conditioning, the shoulds, needs and ought tos, and give yourself permission to thrive on your terms. We've been told all our lives that there's one linear, outdated way to get from A to B, but this simply isn't true. To put it plainly, you are allowed to be authentically you. You are allowed to live life more effortlessly and easily. And yes, this may look different to the path others are on, but different isn't wrong. It is time to set out your own journey. Who knows where it'll lead? ADHD and me. Though we will be looking at many of the commonly held traits of women with ADHD, we all have our unique journeys. For me, personally, I never understood why I was so sensitive to stress, why my anxiety would show up at the smallest provocation, and why I would lose my rag like a 4-year-old having a temper tantrum while others around me could remain so calm. I sensed a build-up of physical energy that I couldn't explain. I often had to get myself moving first thing in the morning and ideally again in the afternoon to successfully expel the building restlessness that other girls I knew just didn't have. My hyperactivity wasn't very easy to detect on the outside, but inwardly it felt like rising lava ready to blow and destroy anyone in its wake. My ADHD presented subtly, yet it still managed to impact my education and career. I could feel my brain ticking away when all I wanted to do was shut down and be quiet. It constantly created catastrophized what-if scenarios and played out the worst situations, especially at night, until my heart would pound and my tummy would hurt. I was still undiagnosed when my internalized anxiety, something that I only discovered in my 30s, caused me to develop inflammatory bowel syndrome, IBS. I was given anti-nausea medication and told to avoid dairy. That was it. There was no discussion about the gut-brain connection and how stress and worry can impact our gut health and vice versa. Awareness and diagnosis. My ADHD diagnosis itself came late, at the age of 40, alongside that of my then 9-year-old daughter. I was helping with homeschooling during the COVID pandemic. I noticed traits that I understood so well in myself were also showing up in her. Yet it was only when I read a short article on ADHD in girls that I knew it was what we were both dealing with. Though our ADHD manifested differently, as it is often the case, I knew I had to advocate strongly to get us both diagnoses. And it was from this moment of self-diagnosis that our lives really began to change. Initially there was grief, but soon after there was relief. I began to understand my own life better, and I also realised there would be millions of others just like me. I'm now 5 years post-diagnosis, and I deeply understand how undiagnosed ADHD impacts women's lives, with symptoms ranging from an appalling lack of self-belief to feeling that we have underachieved throughout life. The continuous masking, overcompensating, doubting our abilities and questioning ourselves can lead to chronic exhaustion and ongoing burnout cycles. Studies have demonstrated that neurodivergent women are about 30% more likely to suffer from the emotional and physical exhaustion of burnout than neurotypical women. Recognizing the symptoms. ADHD can affect our mental health too, contributing to crippling anxiety, low moods, depression, obsessive-compulsive disorder, OCD, insomnia, emotional dysregulation, irritability, and anger. Early research studies show that ADHD can be affected by female hormones, exacerbating symptoms of premenstrual dysphoric disorder, PMDD, endometriosis, postnatal depression, and early perimenopause. It can also manifest in our bodies as stress-related conditions such as IBS, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, CFS, thyroid issues, eczema, adrenal fatigue, chronic pain, migraines, and autoimmune conditions, although more research is needed to establish and prove the scientific links in all these areas. I'd like to be able to tell you that once you have awareness of your ADHD, it's all plain sailing. And yes, it can set you on the path to accessing better support, including medication, for those who want to go down this route, and the understanding it brings is hugely validating. However, we still have to learn how to manage every day to process and eventually release the past, de-stress, regulate, and offer ourselves and those around us more compassion and forgiveness. We can then lean in and allow our ever-resourceful brains to help us move forward and thrive. It is this process I hope to help you with in the incoming pages. Whether you have a diagnosis or just exploring the possibility of one, remember that you are enough. How to use this book. This is a pick and mix toolkit curated to help you with the often daily challenges you may face. It offers advice for different days and recognises that at varying stages in your life.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?